Radio.
Greetings and salutations. It's another rendition of Revolutionary Hoodoo, New Orleans Voodoo Secrets and Recipes. All is truly and indeed a blessing if you can just see beyond the veils, for it is all just an illusion and a test, and one of the greatest divine mysteries of this life cycle. Welcome, welcome. Come on in. Come on in. I'm going to do my roll call. Come on in. Greetings, Shamafia, beloved. Tell it like it is. Thank you so much. Happy Monday to you as well, Alafia, beloved. Thank you kindly. I want to thank my blog talk radio audience who are with us now in India and Pakistan, Ethiopia, Kenya, Democratic Republic of the Congo, Nigeria is in the house, Cameroon is in the house, Ghana is in the house. Come on in, Brazil. Yes, come on in, Brazil. Thank you, Argentina, Peru, the United States, the UK, Poland, Germany, Italy, France. Thank you all so much for being a part of this blessed sacred space that we create and recreate at high noon US Central Standard Time. Welcome, welcome, and come on in. All is a blessing. Otan Ifatomiwa is with us. The beloved Iya is here. Thank you so much. Greetings and greetings. It's going to be a great show and a great topic. This is an international topic. Come on in, call your friends, call your family, call your frenemies, call them on in, call your critiquers and your criticizers. Come on in, we're going to talk about it today. We're going to talk about it from this side of the Atlantic and from that side of the Atlantic. We got representatives today from Osun State. So come on in. Come on in, Orisha romancers. Come on in, black witches. Come on in, psychics and astrologers. Come on in. All is a blessing. It's going to be a great show. Greetings. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. Da, da, da. Thank you, Diane, Cameron, Elam, for allowing us to continue to use your music to motivate us, to inspire us. It's powerful theme music, beloved. Thank you so much, Diane, Cameron, Elam. You can find Diane, Cameron, Elam on Twitter. Come on in. My cousin is here, Oloye, Ifawole. Greetings, beloved. Thank you, thank you. We got a representative from Osun State with us today. It should be interesting. Yes. Young, beloved Awo. We're going to give him some inspiration. We're going to give him some motivation. We're going to prove today that there is no divide between the West and West Africa. We're going to prove today that we all friends. We all family. Come on in, JP Terrell. Greetings, beloved. I know you've been paying attention. Didn't I call it? Didn't you see it? Didn't you see the demonstration? I said one day it's all together. And then the next day they fall off into their feelings. Yes, I know you saw it. Craig Burns, greetings, beloved. Welcome, welcome. S. Marie, come on in. Our beloved Oluwo is smiling. He's happy y'all are here. Come on in. Oh, beloved, please, please forgive me if I mispronounce your name. Lateria. That's your name, Lateria. Greetings, beloved. I think I got it. Osun Yemi. Greetings, greetings, greetings. Welcome, welcome. Greetings to you as well, family. Eshu Elekwana Kosiwere Awo Olutoni Iwo Ada Afanbo Osi Obatalami Ita Neebo Onilio Abaneshu. Eshu is the respected elder who flogs, confronts, and uncovers fools. That one versed in mysteries uses truth to own you. He causes scatter to feed poverty. Obatala shakes rascals to have sacrifice. The owner of warnings is the one who is Eshu, Aboru, Aboye, Aboshishe, Ashe. May our Ebo reach Orun. May our Ebo be accepted. May our Ebo allow what we desire to come to pass. And so we say, Ashe. Greetings and salutations. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. We got a powerful, powerful panel of co-hosts with us today from both Osun State, Nigeria, as well as from the international audience from around the world. Of course, my cousin is here from Oklahoma. Our beloved Otan has returned to bring that Iya energy to this great meeting. And I say divine, all blessed greetings and salutations. Welcome, welcome. You are now sitting again live with the Divine Prince, Pan-African spiritualist, practitioner, author, and advisor, Ologun Oloye Hoodoo Obeya Bokur, sharing with you in all things spiritual, mystical, metaphysical, cosmic, evolutionary, revolutionary, healing, and holistic from a Pan-African Hoodoo world spiritualist perspective, understanding that all is truly and indeed a blessing if you can just see beyond the veils, for it is all just an illusion and a test and one of the greatest divine mysteries of this life cycle. You all know by now, this is my constant prayer. It is my mantra, affirmation, reverberation, reiteration, and it is indeed my ever living reality. All is a blessing is crucial to the very foundation of who I am, what I say, who I be, what my demonstration is, what my walk is, what backs my ministry. All is a blessing and is indeed my personal power, my place from where I begin, my place from where I crystallize and realize all my endeavors, understanding that I and I alone create and co-create my divine destiny, and I alone create and co-create my divine, all blessed reality. And so it is. Ashe. Today is Monday, May 3rd, 2021, and I am emanating and vibrating with you and for you now live, verbally, virtually, cosmically, quantum, universally, from this working temple of the House of the Divine Prince. Thai potions, Hoodoo Central, in this beautiful, historic, legendary, some would say most haunted, I would say most enchanted city in America, New Orleans, Louisiana, the land of my ancestors and those who came before me along this Hoodoo Obeya life path and journey, passing down the great Obeya stick, along with the knowledge of the power, the rituals, the ceremonies, the spirits, the ancestors that back us, that support us, that we stand on, and indeed that fuel my destiny. I am always honored and grateful that we are able to create sacred space in such a profound way that many of us couldn't even have imagined 30 or 40 years ago. But our ability to come here together, to breathe, and to breathe again, and allow for and create for creative, sacred space that we now share here. Please feel free to ask your questions, your comments. This is the day. This is the day. There's no reason that you cannot go forward from today without having your 5 questions answered, your Ifa questions answered, your Nago questions answered, your questions about Ifa practice in the motherland, as well as Ifa practice in the Americas. There's no reason for you to now open up your mics, plug in your cameras, call me on my phone line at area code 845-277-9143, 845-277-9143, and please be a part of this powerful, powerful conversation. I greet all of you individually and collectively. Arisha, beloved, thank you so much for being present. I know when you're present, your family is present, and for that I'm grateful. Kayla, talk. Abu Shishe, Ashe, beloved, thank you so much for being such a consistent participant in our show. I'm always honored to see my godchildren here, to see my students here, to see my clients here. But I'm also honored when new people come and share their opinions, their energy, their Ashe in this space. Greetings again, Kevin Brooks, Ashe, beloved, Grand Rising, Chef Bougie, welcome, welcome. And thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day. Y'all, there are business folks in this room. There are entrepreneurs in this room. There are people who indeed have a lot to do, but you all keep showing up in this space to share, to give, to receive. And for that, I'm truly honored. I'm going to begin to introduce my guests, starting with my cousin, Oloye, Ifawole, Oladeji, Efuntade. Welcome, beloved. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Alafia, everybody. I hope everybody's doing well today. It's a wonderful topic. I look forward to the Awo that my cousin has coming on today to learn from him as well, that we all learn together and grow together. I think it's wonderful, and I look forward to the blessing of today. So I hope that everybody enjoys the day and everybody really has an opportunity to maybe even journal for themselves to receive some information that will allow them to further their own practice and study. So God bless you all. May Ifa bless you all today and lift you up and elevate your consciousness.
Ashe, Ashe. And I want to now introduce Oktan Ifatomiwa. Beloved, thank you so much for being with us again today. We love your energy and your presence and your gifts that you always bring us. Please reintroduce yourself and share a little lesson with us before I introduce our Oluwo.
Oh my goodness. Good afternoon, Boye Boshishe, everyone. My name is Ifatomiwa Eguntoyen Ojegbemi. I am an Ifa initiated priest as well as an Egungun priest out of Osun State, Oshogbo, Nigeria. I was blessed on the journey of finding my family to meet my cousin, who I found through DNA, as he explained. And I can say that I have truly been shown that I not only have a blessed bloodline, but there is a lot of work in store yet for me. And that if we are all humble in our seekings and we put our best foot forward, everything we need will literally be laid in our path. It doesn't mean we don't get to do the work. It means that we know that our work will be fruitful regardless of what we see. And a lot of that I got from my dear cousin. So, Oladeji Shunmo Dupwe Baba Oloye. Those that don't know him, you need to get to know him. You need that in your life because he is a powerful man, a humble man, and I appreciate him. So if you want to learn something today, you're in the right place because these two here, they're going to give it to you. You're going to learn it one way or another. You're going to get that work. So open up, listen, and be ready to self-reflect. That's the big part of the journey. Can you turn that mirror on yourself? It's all right if you don't like what you see because we are on the work to fix that. That's why we're here. So I love you all. I appreciate you welcoming me in. And I'm going to sit back and learn something too because learning is lifelong. So I'm ready.
Thank you, beloved. And listen, it might sound prejudiced, but I'm a part of a powerful bloodline.
You a part of his bloodline. You included in that. It's a power party here. You included in that.
Y'all better get your ancestry work done. Y'all better get your ancestry work done. Now I'm going to invite on with us now our special guest. But I first want to say, we met through the internet. And I say all the time, I will on my show that many of us are wasting our internet. You're playing Candy Crush, you're bickering and going back and forth with each other. And indeed, we have an opportunity to not only meet and embrace other members of our family, our community, our practice around the world, but to go beyond this virtual reality and pick up a phone or send an email or make a date to meet and really grow our community in a way that we can free ourselves, many of us, from that bondage that we felt from quote unquote organized religion that many of us have freed ourselves from, have escaped from. I think there's no reason that there should not be just as many Iles, just as many voodoo houses, just as many ancestral houses as there are liquor stores and churches on the corners of our community. There's a reason we cannot now do this in the 21st century and moving forward. Oluwo first impressed me with his Instagram page. And you know, we've talked about Instagram. You have all these random unknown babalaos popping up in your DM, you know, offering to give you services. He did not do that. He did not do that. He befriended. He sent a greeting. I sent a greeting. I looked at his page and I felt immediately connected to him spiritually. He's a young Oluwo. He is Oluwo Ifayinka Ajagunmale from Osun State. I believe he's broadcasting right now from Lagos, Nigeria. And so come on in, beloved Awo. Please reintroduce yourself. Tell your story. Yes. Yes.
Alafias to everyone in the house. Peace and blessings. Aboru Aboye. My name is Ifayinka Ajagunmale, and I'm honored to be a young Oluwo. I am initiated in Ifa. I am Omo Osa Obe. I'm initiated in Ogboni fraternity. I am Odofin Awo Iledi Orisun Bare in Osun State, Nigeria. And also I am the Eshula J. Awo of Saki. It is a great honor to be with you people in the house. I pray that Ifa and Olodumare continue to bless us with longevity, so that at the end of the day, we will have the mouth of gratitude to all the wish I share.
Asheo. And beloved, if it's possible, can you speak louder or pull your mic closer to you?
All right.
So we can hear you just a little bit better.
Yes, I'm closer now.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I want to share what you and I talked about off camera. I asked him if he had some ideas about what we could talk about in this space that he felt comfortable sharing with us. And his response back to me was so universal. It speaks not only to West Africa, but it also speaks directly to us. And his question was, what have Africans lost that they are now trying to locate? Okay, what have Africans lost that they are now trying to locate? And of course, my mind just opened up at the idea of that as a show topic. So in my own words, I say personal power. What is personal power? What is it? How do you keep it? How do you maintain it? I believe we've lost personal power. We've given up personal power, whether it be for political reasons, religious reasons, colonizers coming in and sort of implanting their own power on top of us. But we indeed live in a day now where we have a little mobility to choose for ourselves, to choose for our families, to choose for the next generation, a different alternative than that which might be presented to us right now. So that is the sort of the foundation of today's show topic. What have Africans lost? And of course, you all can speak to that, my co-hosts and my audience, my listeners, my participants. You all can also speak to that in your own words, through your own personal interpretations. But what is it that we have lost that we are now trying to regain? Oloye, start first for us, please.
First, I greet Oluwo, Oboro Oboye, Aboshise, Oluwo.
Ato Asure Iwo Fun Ashe Babalawo. May the blessings of Iwo Fun be with us forever.
Kotupe, Papa. Thank you. So, first, personal power. I'll share with you that over this last weekend, I had the blessing to present Ifa to a very diverse audience of spiritual people of different perspectives. And in that, what I found is that many people are going through so many different dynamics in their lives, in their families, and that many of them have lost the insight of their own personal power. And so in that, in doing the work and doing Dafa for many people this weekend, many times a lot of different dynamics were presented. The personal power for many was the ability to endure, the ability to stand firm and endure. When we deal with our own personal power, we're dealing with times that we're going through many trials, tribulations, obstacles in our life. And many of us have lost the insight of our spiritual practice. They've lost the insight of the internal strength, the internal fortitude that is needed to stand and endure. We look at the trials and tribulations that people are receiving all throughout this country, and people struggle with the ability to go deeper within themselves, to extrapolate the divine energy that is within them, to bring it out into a way that is fulfilling their healing. And so when we look at Orisha, when we look at the energies that are within the Orisha that are manifested within us, people lose the insight of how to go deeper within themselves, to touch and to feel and to extrapolate that energy, to pull that energy up into the areas of their life that will be needed for them to grow, to evolve, and to heal. So personal power for me is the ability to withstand, to go in deeper, and to see and to feel and to touch that which is needed in order to elevate our inner consciousness, in order to fulfill or facilitate our healing.
Oluwo, please, you go next.
All right. Peace and blessings to the house. I will want to start with Ifa Ijuba. Ifa verse said, Agbára ńlá ní Yabisipo kò díá fún ìbà tí ń ṣọmọ Olódùmarè. Ìbà bàbá, ìbà yèyé, ìbà Olúwo, ìbà Ojúbọ̀nà, àyàfún tá ọba dá ṣe kóró mọ́ṣá ìgbà.
Ashe.
I am doing this sanitation for the ancestors that start this. I am doing this sanitation for Voodoo Chief, the Divine Prince. I am doing this sanitation for Oloye, Ifawole, Oladeji, Efuntade. I am doing this sanitation for Otun Ifatomiwa, because I meet you people in this line, and when a kid refuses to do sanitation, that kind of kid is meant to lost. I pray our line, our ritual worshiping will not perish. We will hand it over to our kids and to our grandkids. What is personal power? In my own definition, personal power can be defined as the skill, the ability, the power that is obtained or passed to us from their ancestor or from our parents, for us to be able to rule and handle the world. A lot of traditionalists, a lot of Africans, a lot of black people, even a lot of white people have lost their personal power. When people come to me, they ask me, Ifayinka, is Ifa only for black people? I say no, Ifa is universal. It doesn't matter if you are black, it doesn't matter if you are white. Once you have the spirit of Ifa in you, it will always come to action. But it is left to you to obtain the personal power. It is left to you to make use of your personal power. A lot of people now doesn't want to make use of that. We love easy things.
Yes.
We forget that nothing good comes easy. You see people online, they ask you, they want to make a reading, you tell them this is amount for reading, they run away. But they can go to church and contribute for $5. I am not criticizing any religion, but what I'm saying is if you want your personal power to come out, if you want your personal power to manifest, if you want you to talk and the ashe in your mouth to come to power, you have to sacrifice a lot. Sacrifice is what makes personal power comes to manifestation.
Benny, ashe.
Sacrifice is what makes personal power comes to manifestation. You want to eat, you don't want to cook the food, it will never be sweet.
That's it.
You want to bath in a swimming pool, you don't want to put water there, you are just joking.
That's it.
You want to go, you don't want to have experience, you are lying to yourself. So that is personal power. What you have within you is within you, but it is left to you to bring it out. It is left to you to make use of it. Why did we love personal power? I just say it because we love easy things. I remember when I first joined the tradition and they say, oh, they are killing ram. I run away because I don't want to see blood. I forget that even in other Christian, in other Muslim, they do sacrifice too. But we don't want to do that. We don't want to sacrifice. We don't want to make readings. We don't want to go through initiations. We don't want to go through consecration, which is not supposed to be. What are the things we are going to do to gain back our personal power is to embrace ourselves first. That means you are lying to yourself, Baba. If you are saying truth to the world, that means you are saying truth to yourself. A lot of people don't want to be, a lot of people want everybody to be good to them, but they are not even good to themselves. So we have to embrace that everything we want outside the world, it starts from us.
That's right.
So that is it, Baba. Thank
you. That was powerful. And it so resonated with many things that I say often. In my own words, and you gave it a very authentic Oshun State, presentation, and I'm grateful. I truly am. Sometimes people think that I'm, making up the fact that we have rules. Sometimes people think I'm being hard about acknowledging elders, acknowledging hierarchy, acknowledging rules and protocols. But it's indeed an organized religion, just like any other organized religion. It's not what we call here a gumbo of everything just sort of thrown in together. And I also really appreciate you speaking to sort of our responsibility, some would even say our obligation, to use our personal power for the benefit of the village, for the benefit of the community, not just for ourselves, not just so that we can gain access to material stuff or positions, within the world community, but to indeed feed and support and grow our own communities. It's really at the foundation of all that we do within these traditions. Otun, beloved, you look like you're ready to talk now. So come on in, beloved.
Wow. Again, I am in awe. Kotupwe Baba, that was definitely the nail on the head, bullseye. I agree with all of it, and I will say that we have to pay attention to words. The phrase personal power, what's the key word in that? Personal, meaning it's yours. And the thing is, we have to also look at not looking for acceptance. Your walk is yours. It's not for everybody to understand it. It wasn't a conference call when Olodumare, when Jesus, when whoever you worship, when they called to you, it wasn't them and you and you and you. It was you. It's your personal power, which means you have to be willing to do the work within yourself. No one is going to save you. We, as Baba said, we can't look for quick things. Where this society now is everything quick. They want it microwave. They want it quick, right now. Yes. And they have to understand doing the work means getting the information. You cannot go to all of these places. You want to get something quick. You want to learn it off of Google. and think you know. When I was, my mother and my sister are both ministers. They're in Christianity. They're Baptist ministers. When I was in church, we would say everything in decency and order. And that transcends any religion, any practice, everything in decency and order. There are steps, there are processes. You cannot come in without respect, without the openness, the humbleness, the willingness to just sit down sometimes and be quiet. Silence, they say silence is golden. It is so much more than that. Because if you're talking all the time, you can't hear, you can't absorb. That learning will never stop. You will always be a student. We will always be students. Learning is lifelong. So we have to be willing to understand that there's always a new lesson. There's always growth. There's always a possibility to be better than what you was the day before. But the work is yours. There's no quick. There's no, what was that? You see people that want to go to people and say, oh, I need this done. And they're expecting Harry Potter. Yeah. And that's not what this is. There's no wand. There's no Wingardium Leviosa, and then your problem is going to disappear. You have to do the work. Everything quick isn't good. A lot of things you get quick, they fall apart just as quickly as you get them, because what did you put into it? What of yourself went into gaining what you were looking to receive? So that is my contribution. But I think personal power is our job. Yes, we will need assistance, but the work is ours to do. We only go as far as what we put in.
I say, yes. And it's interesting that, when I am doing a consultation, they call about one thing, but then I ask, what else is going on in your life? What's going on in your house? What's going on in your career? What's going on in your health? And then you find all these really crazy, scary, sometimes major issues going on, but their focus is on bring this man back, bring this woman back. It becomes a distraction to us doing our own work, to us looking at ourselves. And particularly in this culture, Lola Noble, a little earlier on in the chat, let me see if I can find it, made the statement that, give me a second, y'all. We lost our sense of individuality. And my response was, yes, that's interesting, but somehow we live in a Western world that believes we own individuality, that believes we are more individual than any other culture, in the world. Yet we find all these issues of socialization, of building relationships, of commitment to relationships, our inability to even know who our neighbors are and to ask their names. So for me, we've lost a sense of village, and we've lost a sense of community, which plays a key role in the development and the maintenance of personal power. Sometimes you really need mama's hand. Sometimes you really need papa's discipline. Sometimes you really need your brothers, your sisters, your siblings, to call you out on your stuff. And in a Western super individualized culture, we feel that's an affront to who we are. We feel it's an affront for, the elders to say, baby, maybe you should have done that a different way. Maybe you need to look at, yourself, as opposed to seeking outside. So how do we, in this world, how do we sort of combat sort of what we're seeing in social media and this desire for quick magic and quick fix, and really get our people to understand that there is a system, there is a community, there is a practice here that we all share, in our various lineages, that they too can be a part of?
Society today, we have to be okay with turning the TV off. We have to be okay with turning social media off. We have to be okay with finding a quiet place for ourselves and being able to go inside of ourselves. Many are not willing to do that. Many don't want to step off of social media for a minute because there's so much stuff going on and they're all in everybody else's business and everybody's in their business. They're posting on everything under the sun. I think that in order to step away from these things, we have to step away from the modern, some of the modern things that we have, and then be able to step back and then take our own personal time and personal space to meditate, to allow our inner conscious to go, to manifest into our thinking, into our words, into our actions. And when we don't do that, then I just think that we're going to wind up continuously depending on things that are not going to be allowing us to continue to develop our own personal power.
Yeah, I agree with Lola. Again, when she said that, we've lost a certain degree of individuality. I began to notice that right around the decade of the 1980s. I saw us moving out of, afros and Black power and African consciousness, and then moving into label consciousness. What rich, white guy's name is on your clothes, it's on your bag, it's on your shoes. Designer items, begin to flood our communities, even the fake ones, because we then begin to place our idea of personal power in things. I did see a loss of individuality. We began to dress more alike. Fashion began to dictate, how we look, when we left our house. And when I bring it up a little bit more recently, the 90s into the 2000s, we start seeing these, black Dickies, and white T-shirts, and our young men, sometimes our young women, being accused of being members of gangs, because they're in a group, and they have a uniformity, in their dress. And I talk about COINTELPRO all the time. I believe there's a conscious mind behind these movements in our community to keep us off balance, to keep us dislodged from our own personal truth. And indeed, when you do begin to find your personal truth, we're then made to feel somehow outside the system. So you have your rosters and your lock individuals who are outside the system. You have your Muslims who are a minority outside the system. You have us who are practicing various lineages and paths of ATR, but are somehow outside the system. Yet we are the majority of the people, on the planet. And so we've got to begin to stand up in our personal power. And I think that also begins with identity. If you don't know who you are, it makes it very difficult to find and utilize your personal power if you don't know who you are. And so we've been stripped of that. We know the story. We were first stripped of it during the Middle Passage, and we continue to be stripped of it, by allowing ourselves to be paid blue or red, Republican, Democrat, Independent, Christian. Well, what church do you go to? Well, what denomination do you go to? And all these things stand up as sort of barriers to some degree to really getting to the root of who and what we are. And many of us, speaking for myself, get here through pain, get here through trauma, get here through tragedy, get here from being on the bottom and being sick and tired of being sick and tired on the bottom, and then going within and doing that hard work. Some of us call it shadow work, to find out who I was, and then be able to stand up in that with authority and conviction. So I think the lack of identity is still a big problem in our culture. And so now we're changing titles, we're changing acronyms, we're changing labels. We now have to acknowledge more gender. We now have to acknowledge more politically correct labeling within our society. And again, that becomes this illusion, this delusion, this barrier, this block to us really standing up in who we are authentically. And that's why I push ancestral work. I push ancestral work. Get close to your ancestors. Find out who your ancestors are. Find out who your people are. It makes that journey of self-discovery that much more edifying and a little bit easier to sort of navigate and come to you. There are no blueprints in Western culture with the mindset of helping us to regain our identity. We got a lot of books, a lot of historians, a lot of authors, a lot of stories being told, a lot of documentaries and movies being told, but there really are no manuals for that component to self-identity. Yet we have within the system of white supremacy and racism, those that feel strongly connected to what they believe is a sense of personal identity. And it requires them to feel superior to everyone else. It requires them to feel supreme to everyone else. So I like how my cousin said, Oloye Ifawole said, we got to be clear about who we are and our identity, no matter what your religious choice or preference is, and allow yourself to grow. Eli said, allow yourself to do the work. Don't fear doing the work. Indeed, our power is in doing the work. Oluwo Ifayinka said, you know, our power is in sacrifice. And I connect to that on so many levels. There's that sacrifice that we choose, that we go out and purchase to offer. But then there's that sacrifice that's the hard knocks of life. You know, I sacrificed a great deal of my childhood. I sacrificed a great deal of what I thought was being like everyone else, you know, in the culture, in order to really be the person that I am today. And you know, church folks say I wouldn't give nothing for my journey now. I connect to that. You know, if being somewhere else other than where I am right now in this divine moment in time space meant me removing something that occurred in my past, I wouldn't accept it now. I wouldn't take it now. So my godmother used to say, you know, that is now your Ebo. Baby, that's now part of your Ebo. You know, so I embraced that sacrifice. I embraced that trauma. I embraced, you know, the journey that I had to take from the bottom up to find myself and then be able to walk my journey in confidence. Please give me a moment to go through my chat. I need my co-host to share.
So one of the things we have to deal with in sacrifice, and Oluwo can follow me with what I'm saying. The very first aspect of sacrifice is not the outside stuff that you have to give, whether it's adimu, whether it is rooster, hen, whatever. All that stuff is great, but the first part of sacrifice is the sacrifice within yourself. And if you're not willing to do the work within the self, then the sacrifice that is made outside is only going to manifest in a very small space and not be able to really materialize to the highest level that it needs to in order to energetically make the change that is supposed to happen as far as what the elbow is supposed to be. Oluwo, can you share, please?
Yes. You know, when I meet new clients or godsons or goddaughter, and they tell me, Oluwo, we want you to be our father in the culture, I say, are you willing? They tell me, oh, I'm rich. I can make sacrifices. I can make offering. Then I will tell them, I say, I'm not poor either. I may not have thousands of cars. I may not have thousands of land, but I'm not poor. When I'm saying I'm willing, are you sure when somebody comes to you and say this thing you are doing is evil, leave it? Are you sure you won't leave it? Are you sure you want to be in the culture, not because you want people to see that you are in the culture? Are you sure you want to be in the culture because of yourself, not because of having thousands of ilekes on your neck and going about and telling people I'm Ifa? Are you sure you want to be in the culture because you are spiritually endowed, not because you want to be, hey, I'm in the culture now? Are you sure it's not the people around you that is pushing you to be in the culture? You know, many people think it's about the things we want to collect from them. So if it's about the things we want to collect from them, they are ready to give it out. But we don't want something from you. We just want to materialize you into being who you are exactly. You cannot take a soul from somebody. And for you to really sacrifice yourself in the culture, you need your soul. You need your soul. You don't even need your body, because body can decay. When we die, the body is going to go. But if your soul is in the culture, when you die, people are still going to remember you for the path that you have dwelt for the rest of your people to follow. So what you say is very relatable, especially here in Nigeria. In Nigeria, many people doesn't want to be in the culture. And even when they want to be in the culture, they just want to make sacrifice. Maybe their husband should come back. Maybe they want to get rich quicker. Many youth come to me and say, Oluwo, give us this pay. I say, I'm not doing it. If you want to be in the culture, it's not because you want to get rich. It's not because you want to look nice. You must be in the culture because of yourself. Because if I give you the power because you want to be in the culture because of money, if you have that money, you are going to misuse it.
So have we, my apologies. So have we answered the question, is personal power an internal realization?
Yes, it has to be. It has to start there. To develop any type of personal power is to develop the different phases and levels of it. We have to understand what insight is. Insight comes from study. Insight comes from experience. And insight comes from a desire to submit ourselves away from what we think, but to find out what we really have to know. So personal power has different phases that it goes through, of course, in order for us to ascertain a full realm of view on what personal power will be for our own self personally. For each individual person, personal power might mean something different. It might mean that this particular person went through all of these struggles and trials and tribulations. And in order to even understand that, we also have to go back to the realm of understanding destiny. What was the destiny that we were born with? What did we go in front of Olodumare with? What did we share with the Olodumare that we wanted to manifest here on this plane, on this travel down here? When we know that, and we are in alignment with our destiny, and we can now say, my destiny was to become Babalao. So now there's trials and tribulations that happen as we become doing the work to become Babalao in a complete sense. What is the willingness to study? What is the willingness now to go inside of yourself? What's the willingness to try to learn, especially as us as older guys? It's hard to be able to memorize the verses 256 Odu and then several verses inside, because as older people, our memory sometimes is like, okay, we're so locked into this way. But are you willing to make the effort? And if that is your destiny, then Ifa, Olodumare, Orisha, Egungun will find a way for you to elevate into who you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to accomplish. And they'll make the path available for you to follow that path if you're willing to discipline yourself in order to make step by step to go in that direction.
Yes.
Ashe.
Exactly.
What about collective power? How do we start to gain collective power after self-empowerment? Otan, you want to speak to that first, beloved? Because I believe collective power starts with the womb and the mother and the goddess and the queen. So I want you to speak to that first.
Okay, collective power. How can we gain collective power? First, I would say we would need to understand that the damage to our unity was not done overnight. It was done over the course of hundreds and hundreds of years.
Mm-hmm.
So the coming together of all of us as a community is going to be equally as long, because the damage is severe to the point to where you have literally PTSD,
Post-traumatic
the
stress.
trauma that's passed through from generation to generation because of all of the atrocities that we have endured. So when we look at that, we have to understand that we all have different walks. We all come from different places. And when we look to that, we would hopefully, in walking a path of seeking to be more, as far as the eyesight of God or Olodumare, to understand that everybody may not be at the same level. So we have to stop throwing our people away. Stop being willing to throw them away, because for some, the damage is deeper than we could even imagine. So once we look at that and we can understand and accept, see, we have to learn how to love each other where we are. Everybody has to grow, and it's not going to be as fast. If we can learn to love each other where we are, look at that person, love them where they are. That doesn't mean accept certain behaviors or participate in certain things. It means to just simply understand their state of mind and what their emotional and spiritual limitations are within that state of mind that you are currently dealing with them or meeting them at. When we can do that, we can find the common ground, because everyone has something to contribute.
Yes.
Sure.
I say that was powerful, EI. We're just too quick to throw each other away, but also ourselves. You know, we're too quick to give up on ourselves. We're too quick to in some cases, commit suicide and do harm to ourselves, rather than seek the assistance, the guidance of the elders, the leaders, the healers in our community, and get some support in that journey. That was very powerful. That's why I wanted you to speak to it first. Oluwo, Ifayinka, you want to speak to collective power as well?
All right. I will just give two examples. Just two examples. Can a finger lift a bucket of water? No, a finger cannot lift a bucket of water. But with 5 fingers, we can lift a bucket of water. Now, you see me off my camera the other time. Can one broom sweep a whole house? Never.
No.
But when you have a bunch of broom, you can sweep a whole house. Imagine it was only Baba Divine Prince that was in this video. It will not be very sweet. It will not be very interesting. But now I have Baba Divine Prince, I have Oloye Ifawole, I have Otun Ifatomiwa, I have myself. Now it is interesting. When you gain your ability of knowing yourself, the next step, the next goal you need is the ability of bringing unity to work.
Sure.
Unity has to work after that. So that is what I would say.
Ashe. Now, I'm going to ask some tough questions here. Some of our community feels that they can't reach out to West Africa. They can't reach out to Nigeria. They can't reach out to the indigenous community. That somehow you've lost interest in us. In some cases, people believe that there's a lack of understanding about our journey through the Middle Passage and slavery and enslavement, and how that continues to affect us today. You heard EI use a term, PTSD. She means post-traumatic slave disorder. You know, when she says that, that's a real thing for us here in the U.S. I heard you say that, you know, there are many Nigerians that are not trying to take Ifa seriously. We have the same issue here in the States. There are many African Americans who much rather hear the church thing, who would much rather hear the Islamic story rather than this story. So I would like you to speak to what similarities or differences you might find in the community there in Nigeria, and how can we further promote sort of this bridge of understanding so that these two communities can reunite, you know, as a global community of people who are committed to ancestors and traditional religious spiritual practice.
You want me to answer that, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Good. Baba, firstly, I am going to be giving thanks to you, the Divine Prince. I am giving thanks to Oloye, Ifawole, Oladeji. I am giving thanks to Yanifa, Ifa Tomiwa, because with people like you, you all are the reasons why Ifa is still alive over there. And trust me, you can't see my heart, but I am very, very happy because with people like you, it will continue growing. You see, it is normal for it to be like that. Because even if I let us understand that we in West Africa, we are going to live our way of life and we will be running after the people of the Western communities in the Europe. And the people in the Europe are going to be running after the community here, which is the Ifa community. But what I have seen is that Olodumare has put some certain people in different places in the world for them to continue to bring his own beloved people to him. Mm-hmm. You see, that is why you see us in different sides of. Now I'm in Osun State. You are in Louisiana. Baba is in his own state too. Iya is in his own state. But we are bringing these people. We are bringing them back to the culture. I remember some years back when I joined the culture, what I always say is that one day I know I am going to bring the world back to Africa spiritually. So, and this is what is happening now. The similarities is that it's already happening. Everybody now here wants to practice the culture. Trust me, if you come to Africa, thousands and thousands of people wants to practice the culture. Their eyes are opening. And over there, a lot of people want to practice the culture. The only challenges we are having is that a lot of people are falling prey to bad people before finding the real people. But It is normal. I love it. I love it because if you don't buy a lie, you can never appreciate the truth.
That's right.
Even me as a priest, I have gone through the processes of being under many people who just want to use me, who just want to take advantage of my loyalty. But it never stopped me because I want to get to the truth. So when you buy a lie 1,000 times, when you see one truth, you are going to appreciate that truth more than the 1,000 lies you have bought. So that's it.
Beloved, there's a question from the chat from Lateria Daniel, and it's to the entire panel. And she says, for people like myself that seek leadership, willing to do the work to go deep, but not having reliable sources other than YouTube, where can they go for leadership?
It's very difficult. And we understand that it's difficult to do that. But I believe that when you find one, then you'll find a community of more than one. So when you find one, like you find my cousin, you find Divine Prince, you see my cousin, Iya, you see Baba, right? You find one, you'll find more behind, because we tend not to deal with others that are not in alignment with our own consciousness or our own way of being or our own thinking. So when you find one that you feel you see is legitimate, then you go to that person and you say, hey, I'm looking, I desire maybe to learn more Ifa. Who do you think I should go to? They're not going to recommend somebody who is not in alignment with doing righteous by you. I want to learn Voodoo. Fine. Then we send them to, we reach out to Divine Prince, right? What is it that you want to do? What is the direction that you want to go? What's the path that you want to follow? And then when you find one that you know is in alignment with many others that are trying to do righteous, that person will lead you to those who are doing righteous.
Exactly.
Ashe, Ashe. And is that an issue in Lagos and in Nigeria as well, beloved? Are people finding it difficult to sort of connect to what's authentic? Let me re-ask the question. Do you have as many people sort of bastardizing and falsely representing the practice in Nigeria the way we seem to have here in the States?
You see, it is all over the world. I cannot sweet mouth anything. I don't lie. And that is one thing I love about myself. You see people, but one thing I believe is that when you see someone who is real, you will know this person is real. You may not love the person way, you may not like the person, but when you see a real person, you will know this person is real. But here in Africa, here in Nigeria, people love to go to the people. They like cheap things. People, just like I said earlier, you come to me, I tell you, before you do this, before you do that, you have to go through these processes. You say, no, this is a long process. But you go to another person who just wants your money. Because you think you have the money for what the person wants, you give the person money. It doesn't work that way. It is all over the world, Baba. There are a lot of fake people. And what is making me happy is that every time they are getting nabbed, people are knowing this is fake and they are going down. People who is real, it may take effort, you know, you have to struggle before you get to the top, but at least when you are at the top, the effort, the trauma, just as Iya Otun, Ifatomiwa said, the trauma, the pains, the cries, the tears is what will make you strong.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Before a gold shine, it will go through fire. So that is it.
Oshun Yemi asks, can someone initiate in the West?
Yes.
You can initiate anywhere you want. If you know it's real, you can initiate anyone you want. You can go to Baba Oloye Ifawole for initiation. If your mind goes to him, you can come down to Nigeria. I am ready to host you. You can go to Ifatomiwa. You can go to the Divine Prince. Since you know this blessing I'm going to is real, you can initiate anywhere you want.
There are many people that have gone many years back and forth. I've shared with you about my own Oluwo, Oba Ifekbeme Feshe Funsola, who has gone back over 3 times and stayed over there many months at a time to learn, and has begun to do Itefa here in America as well. So yes, there are people that are doing Tefa here in America properly, appropriately. 7 days, 10 days, 14, whatever, 5 days, whatever Ifa tells them that they have to deal with within their Tefa. We do have legitimate Babalao, Oluwo, Oloye, Kabiese, Oba here that have been traditionally initiated and gone through the appropriate rites and passages and have the appropriate blessings to be able to do the work. That's the big thing. You have to have the appropriate blessings to do the work. You have to have the appropriate initiations and work within yourself in order to have the blessing to do certain work here and anywhere else. You have to go through that process. So, you know, that's why, again, once you find one that is doing righteous, it will lead you to others that are doing righteous. Because those that are doing righteous, we don't want our reputation soiled and killed because we're around others that are not doing righteous.
Exactly.
That's right.
May I say something, please?
Yes, beloved.
I wanted to say that in hearing that question, if initiations can be done here, for me, it goes back to the initial discussion of personal power. As I stated, my mother and my sister are Baptist ministers. Yes, I am an Ifa practitioner. However, I'm not throwing my base away. See, we have to understand it's not about whose religion is better, who's the real God, who's this, who's that, because when our people were taken from Africa, do you think that because they were in America that God didn't hear them because he didn't speak the language? No, God, Olodumare transcends all. There's no
Exactly.
language that he does not speak.
I sure.
And so
I
we
feel
have
that
to
for you.
understand that we got to stand in that personal power, because I will tell you, knowing and being around those elders, those women in church, knowing how to pray and speak a illness out and lay hands on you and do certain things and so-called catch the Holy Ghost and all of those things that they do in church, it prepared me, because baby, when I went to Oshogbo, if I had not grew up the way I grew up, I would have been out of there running on my feet back to America. It prepares you. So it's not about what's happening to us as opposed to what's happening for us. Everything was for a reason. Everything has a purpose to prepare and guide us for what we may not yet see. And in turn, as far as initiations being done here, who has the authority to say where God will not bless?
No
Who?
one. No one.
So
I
if an
sure.
initiation says, and it says it can be here, then it can be here. No one has the authority to speak down or to say what a person cannot do. If God says they do it, they do it. That is not our place. And I wanted lastly to speak to when you said the question of some of us going over there and feeling the disconnection with Africa. I want to say this to our people here in the diaspora. For me, having been there, we have to get that entitled mindset and put it away. You don't go to nobody's house and tell them how they should be living. A lot of us seek something and want to go over there, be a part of the culture, be a part of Ifa. Lower your nose, because we are wasteful here. We are spoiled here. And you cannot take that into someone's house and disrespect them and tell them how they should be living, how their home should look, when we have no idea what
You know, when you
community
talk
really
about
is.
that audio which has come down into me,
I sure.
I feel
We
this
have to
moment.
respect
I
that.
feel the vibration. Oh my
I
God.
sure. I
Oh my
sure.
So we
God.
have to understand that when we go there, when we learn, you humble yourself. Because the
Sure.
original power is there. You humble yourself. You don't go in nobody's house and tell them how they should live. You learn, you respect, and you humble yourself. So we have to understand that. Sometimes it's not that they don't want to help. Sometimes we go over there and we can be so disrespectful.
Yes.
Listen, be quiet, learn. You're going to learn. Understand it's a new culture. It may not be what you agree with, but you accept it because it's theirs. And it's
I
been
sure.
that way. And even though we don't remember, it was our way one time too. So be mindful and be respectful.
Yes.
I sure.
Say. You know,
And
And that
remember,
will help in the connection. That's what I wanted to say.
I say all the time that we're trying to
Our
sort of
spirituality
step
right
back.
there.
I
We're
sure.
taking a step back into a more indigenous mindset, but we want to drag this Western ideology along with us. You
I
know,
sure.
we have to put that down. Whether the ceremony is happening here in Haiti, in Cuba, or in Africa, we've got to put that Western mindset, that Western energy down. They want an excursion. They want a travel adventure, you know, as opposed to an authentic spiritual ceremony. And we have that problem in New Orleans, Oluwa Ifanike, you know, being a big tourist town. We have a lot of tourists who come here, you know, to shop, to buy, to drink, to party, and they make voodoo somehow a part of their itinerary. And so they want to be entertained, they want to show, you know, and there are groups of people, there are communities and organizations here that dance for them and that drum for them, you know, might even story tell. But we make a clear distinction between our authentic practice and representation versus that we do for the tourist. We have a practice here called the second line. And it happens at a funeral when someone passes away, and we carry the casket through the streets. They do the same thing in West Africa, and we dance and we acknowledge the ancestors and pour liquor and libations on the ground. And there are locals of other ethnic groups who stand back and show respect.
Not sure.
They don't try to intervene. They don't try to participate. They don't try and, you know, treat it like a show. But then we have tourists, you know, that want to jump in and take selfies and sort of show a level of disrespect for the process. I've even had people complain about the process. You know, well, why do y'all do that? And that's so disrespectful. And they're coming from that westernized, Christianized sort of church mentality. And I also want to speak to what Iya said about not letting go of your foundation. You know, I've got a Black Spiritualist Church foundation. I got an Evangelical foundation. Some of you can feel it no matter what I'm talking about or what I'm doing. Some of you recognize and can relate to that energy. And there's one item in my house. My mother, Oluwo Ifayinka, is a well-known evangelist here in America. She's written books. And I keep a bottle of her anointed oil. I still swear by the mother's prayer, especially my mother. You know, and I use that anointed oil in my voodoo, in my process. I also like to remind people that a lot of what you assume to be church is African.
I share.
A lot of what's going on in the church came from us. I say it all the time. There probably would be no Christian church in America if it were not for Black people. Bring African spirituality and ritual to that ceremony.
I share. You couldn't give up. You couldn't give up that background even if you tried. The bottom line is that, you know, our elders, our ancestors, when they were kind of having to be born into that, they embraced it for the biggest thing. Here it is. How deep do you really, really believe that which you are practicing? If you truly have nothing else and you 100% are believing in that, then your whole mind and your spirit and your consciousness will go behind what it is that you're truly believing in. When I look back at my grandmother and my aunts and my great grandfather, just like Prince, I grew up in the Pentecostal church, and the bottom line was watching them jump over pews and do all the things that they were doing and catching Holy Ghost and all that. When you go into African spirituality, the correlation is so right here.
100%.
Correct, because when the Orisha come down, your spirit and consciousness rises up, and then you cannot control that which the Orisha is manifesting into you. You'll see people when they catch that the Orisha comes down and mounts them, that they speak messages. They're talking to others in the room as they are mounting on one person. And then you find those that are truly in that spiritual walk, like our grandparents and all that, they would give messages. They'd be telling you stuff, and you'd be like, how do they know that? Right? So when spirit comes down, your consciousness rises up.
Exactly.
Ashe.
Chat room, come on with your questions, your comments, your requests. Please join us, be a part of the discussion. We certainly appreciate you. I got a lot of people listening on the phone lines at area code 845-277-9143, 845-277-9143. Remember to press the number 1 on your telephone keypad, and I'll be more than happy to unmute your mic. So go ahead, beloved.
Let me say one thing.
Please.
My cousin spoke about language being understood by a spirit in all languages. We say Afedafeyo. Afedafeyo says that Rumila can speak and understand any language being spoken. Spirit transcends any culture. But we get stuck in religion sometimes because religion is a man-made entity, while spirituality is a God-made entity that was already in the divinity within you.
Danny.
So even when we're dealing with Orisha, we have to understand that the first three letters are Ori. So the Ori is our divine power, and our Ori then holds any of the spiritual consciousness of the Orisha within us already. So then whatever Orisha then kind of stands up for us to say, this Orisha is the one that's walking with you, then that Orisha says, these are the things in your consciousness that we see you have to elevate to a higher level. Some of us have initiations to more than one Orisha. So then there's aspects of each of these Orisha that are looking to lift us up and elevate us. So our Ori and our divine consciousness holds that energy, holds that power, but the Orisha then bring that manifestation out of us. And so that doesn't define any specific language or culture. Afedefeyo says that that Orunmila speaks all the languages. Yes.
So I'm going to ask a question that Goat Rider, the master, would ask. Can we have collective power without person? Is that even possible? You know, I talk about our Black Power movements and our Black Lives Matter and how some of that community, not all of it, really only focused on the financial liberation, the political liberation, the liberation in terms of the justice system. And indeed, all these things are important, how we live, you know, this idea of governance, you know, living in these various countries that we all are a part of. So can we even have a sense of collective power without addressing personal power?
I don't believe so. I believe that when we look at the movements here in America, each of the movements was brought forth by each individual feeling that their voice had to be heard, that their voices were not heard, and they were willing to make the ebo, the sacrifice, for the voices to be heard. And again, it's like attracting like. When we speak about any of the major movements, we can speak about civil rights, and we know that civil rights movement started before King. It started in early times. Here in Oklahoma, we had a person by the name of Clara Luper in the early 1950s who sat in on downtown in some of the restaurants in order to change where Black people were not allowed to go to. Yes, we had King. King also came out here to speak. But we have the movement known by King. But remember, King was not liked by even our own people during the time that King was trying to elevate the consciousness of the society as a whole. So each individual then knew that they had to possibly make a certain sacrifice within themselves and hold themselves to a place where they were willing to make that sacrifice, willing to stand against that which is wrong to manifest what is right. So in themselves, they already knew what they felt was needed to do to make change. And they knew collectively with numbers come power. With numbers come power. So then now here we are. And we're in that movement working together. You can take it through even the Black Panthers. They were so young when they died, when a lot of them, you know, had these things happen. Fred Hampton was 21 years old when that situation happened. These guys, our youth during these eras, were the ones that were leading this. We forget that King was in his late 20s. A lot of those guys were in their late 20s when they were going forth in these movements. But what's the willingness of sacrifice? What's the ebo that we're willing to give within ourselves and maybe outside of ourselves in order to facilitate the change that we need.
Mm-hmm. So Ghostwriter responds, and he says, we begin to add things from other cultures, especially the dominant culture in our indigenous practices. Will we not then lose our power as we've seen in the past?
Our power will always stick out because our power is the original power.
Sure.
Even if you just think of what was taught to us in the nation's first sentence is the original man is the Asiatic black man. Everything comes from us. So is it really something that was brought in from another culture? Or was it something that maybe we just did not lift up, that they lifted up, but coming back to us, it's still ours, and always been ours?
Ashe. So I have another. Oh, go ahead, Ifa, and then
I apologize. I wanted to add Imole. I'm sorry. I wanted to add to what Baba Oloye was saying, in that everything started from us. We were everywhere, mapping the stars. When you look at every place on earth, look at Japan, and you go back to Japan's history, when they say you couldn't be a true samurai unless you had a drop of black blood in you. Look at Buddha. Nubian nuggets and fat lips, you're not going to tell me that's not a black man. Stop it. The history of the leprechaun, the Twa people. Leprechaun isn't a little white man. That is an African nation that were murdered out for that land. We were everywhere. We are the originators of everything. No matter where you look, I don't care if you go to Puerto Rico, they hide the black Puerto Ricans. They're not the light fair-haired ones. Everywhere you go, we were there first. So it's not a matter of involving other cultures. Like he said, we are the original cultures. We are the first come. So everything that was done has been imitated, changed, copied. It all came from us. We are the beginning.
Ashe.
That's right.
Exactly, Mama. Speak on, Mama.
So I have a question from Blog Talk Radio, and they want to know how the panelists feel about white people initiating into ATR traditions.
Oluwo, you want to go first, or you want me to go first?
I want you to go first because I'm learning too. I'm learning.
Ashe. So from my lineage, and I speak about my lineage from from Kabiesefik Beme Funsola, it is said that nobody can be denied of their destiny. So therefore, those that might be of other cultures, if we go back to just what we talked about everything coming from the origination of the black man and black woman, then understand that when they accept Ifa, they are accepting the culture, because it's said to them in the beginning, listen, you're moving in to this spirituality, which means you got to be able to accept the culture, some of the language, even some of the foods. You got to accept the part of the attitudes and all the things that go along with learning this particular spiritual system. And then it's explained to them that this is not a religion, that this is more than, goes far beyond a religion. It is a lifestyle. Are you willing to get up every morning and give honor to Oludumare with your Ori? Are you willing to give honor to your ancestors? And are you willing to then rebuke those ancestors that might have been against these people? What are you willing to give in order to receive the blessing of this tradition? But the easy question to it is that Ifa says that nobody can be denied their destiny.
Exactly. Sure.
I
see
guess,
what I would like to say about that is that Ifa is universal, just like I started. Ifa is for everybody. You cannot say this person, if you are a true practitioner, Ifa does not discriminate.
That's right. That's right.
There's 3 things I don't do in my life since I joined the culture. I always make sure I practice these 3 things. I don't criticize, I don't bout mouth, and I don't bring down people. I believe before we all say this person is black, this person is white, we all are all humans. We have the same blood flowing through our veins. We come from the same Olodumare. Although we may be the superior beings, we may own everything, because we cannot deny them access to the power, because there are some things that do not deny us access to, and it is Olodumare doing that make it like that. Even now, I can say it proudly, Baba. Now we have more whites initiating than blacks. They are very ready to accept our culture than us. Am I lying? No. A lot of them wants to accept. You see a black people, you tell him this is this about the culture, he say no, he doesn't want to listen. But you see white people, they are ready. You see them go to tattoo shop, they draw tattoo all over their body. Ejiobe or Yakumeji, you see them name their kids after us. You see them marry a black woman. You will see white man marrying a black woman and calling her a queen. But you will see a black man beating up a black woman and calling her a bitch.
Ashe.
Ashe.
That's the truth. So we cannot deny them. When they accept it, then our people will see them as an example to accept it too.
Ashe. Oluwo,
So
Oluwo, can you tell them the story of when the people of the light skin were cast out by the dark skinned people, and then when Obatala went and saw them, and how he then adopted them and then bought the, will you tell them that story, please?
If I said, I think it is Ogudo Oriko. I think that story is one of the best significant Ifa story that can be used as an example in this case.
Ashe.
Before, you see, in the olden days, these orishas that we worship, they are among us. They are humans like us. They are just extraordinary humans, but they are humans like us. Orishala was the one who wants to travel to a certain town called Iburumuko. Then he went to Omomela to consult. When he consulted Ogunda Oriko. Omomela told him to use charcoal as something for sacrifice. Charcoal. So they made the sacrifice. After making the sacrifice, the charcoal he used for sacrifice, Orunmila asked him to pack it in his bag. So he packed it in his bag and he went on his journey. The people of Burumukutu, they were making Ifa sacrifices because there is a pandemic that always comes to their city. And whenever the pandemic strikes them, their skin color is always peeling. You know, a white person, whenever they have skin irritation, it quickly shows in their skin. So their skin color is always, their skin is always peeling. So they were also making consultation of how they can overcome the pandemic and the disease that is killing a lot of people in their town. So when they consulted again, they consulted the same Ifa that Obatala too consulted. After the consultation, Obatala got to their town. Immediately they saw him. And that is why I say when you know a real priest, you are going to know this person is real. Immediately they saw the Obatala enter their town. They say, oh, this is the person Ifa is telling us about that is going to bring solution to our problem. So immediately stepping, they took him, they sort of arrested him because they were like, if we start praising him now, he will be full of himself. And they took him to their king. And when they got to their king said, oh, who are you? He said, I am Morishala. They say, oh, wow, you are a priest. He said, yes, we want you to consult for us. But when he got there, the difference he saw is that those people were white. They are different from his skin color. And he was so surprised. He was like, this is wonderful because he has not seen. And that made Obatala the first Babalawo to travel overseas.
Mm-hmm.
He was the first Babalawo to travel overseas. Many Babalawo today are traveling overseas. He started from Orishanla. So when he saw them, he made the consultation. Then after making the consultation, Ifa revealed to him that the charcoal in his hand, he should pour it in a drum of water. And after pouring it in a drum of water, the charcoal is going to become moist like cream. And the people of the town should rub it all over their body from their head to their toe, which they did. After rubbing it from their head to their toe, they were traveling, they were doing a lot of things, places they cannot go to before they go to, because before, if they go inside the forest, they got struck by a bee, it will show in their body that a bee struck them, it will be reddish. They started doing everything and they were so happy. If I need only one Joe Iron, yet you won't watch it. Tell any young one or the Afro, shall I let him? Sao Lossi, Louis, one more mushe, Ozibeb, Guba, yet you won't watch it. Tiwani young one Lara, which means even us, we are, I don't even know how to say this. We also have a role to play because we are not holy. We also want other people's religion. And those people, they are the one practicing our religion the most. Most of my godson are initiated. I have 60% white, 40% black. And you see black people, just like Mama said, they like Harry Potter. They love magic. They want you to cast a spell now and they will see the results now. They forget that this culture consists of Iwapele, Suru. If I said, Beyonu, Ibinu, Oshen, Kafuni, Suru, ni Baba wa, Agbatoni, Suru, Ongoboloni, Pakola, Fisen, Kato Dayangasenu, which means anger will do nothing for you. Patience is virtue. A man that has patience has all things. But we don't want that. We want everything faster. And that is why we are retarded. We are backsliding. We are backsliding. We are backsliding. And those people, they have patience. They want to see it carefully. You see a white man prostrating for a black man, he's not a fool. It's because of what he wants to learn. He wants to learn something. A black man is saying, nigga, shake me. I miss you.
Yeah.
So that is it. Ifa is universal. We cannot say nobody is a good priest, a true priest will not ever segregate. We don't do that. We bring everybody together.
I agree with everyone in my own unique New Orleans way. I don't turn anyone around. I don't turn anyone away. However, as Oluwo Ifayinka said, they got to know the rules. They got to know the story. They have to know the history, and they have to be willing to do the work. Now, coming into my house, lineage is required. DNA is required. All of my godchildren, all of my clients, and many of my callers have all done DNA work. I have many people who are not necessarily practicing ATR, but listen to our show, appreciate our show, and they're emailing me about doing their ancestral work. So I don't care what the culture, what the religion, what the hue, what the shade. Often I can't tell, over the phone. I can't tell unless we're doing a Skype or Zoom. But everybody in my house is required to look at their ancestry and their lineage honestly. And as Oluwo, no, I think my cousin said, Oloye Ifawole, be willing to be critical in truth, even of your own ancestry. You know, Black people, we got problems now. We got molesters and pedophiles, and people who violated, and people who've murdered and killed, and people who've stolen, and people who've done harm, even in our own ethnic group. And sometimes we think all evil belongs to the white man. Sometimes we think all evil somehow exists outside of us. And if we could just get rid of the white man, we'll be okay. But I ask, what are you doing right now? How are you living right now? What is your demonstration right now? You know, I spent some time with the FOI. I spent some time sitting under Farrakhan and listening to Farrakhan every Sunday, you know, back in my 20s. And often the conversation was about a Black nation. You know, he was really pushing for the Carolinas, Georgia, some portion of the US to sort of be a Black nation. I fear that. If we're going to do it the way we are right now, I fear that. I fear that. I fear my own people just as much as I fear the white man when it comes to immorality, when it comes to a lack of values, when it comes to a lack of humanity, when it comes to a lack of empathy for your neighbor, for the next breathing individual. I also agree that the Black woman is God. And,
Exactly.
and science supports that. All humanity came out of Africa. So I don't care if you in South America, if you in Italy, if you in Germany, if you in Russia, you got Black in you. I hate to break it to you. You got Black in you somewhere. So I think these DNA tests are as controversial as they still are for many people. I think they are sort of a truth teller that really needs to happen in today's society, particularly to combat racism and white supremacy and ethnic bias. Many of the people who are operating in those ills have no idea who they are and who stands up in their own bloodlines. So yes, I don't turn anybody away. The rules don't change. I don't care how much money is being presented. The rules don't change. The process doesn't change. You know, those who are indeed seeking Ifa, I refer them to my cousin. I'm going to now refer them to Oluwo, you know, in Lagos. Otan, I saw your face, but you know how to refer people to the right folks. You know some of the right folks. So if someone came to you and said, I want to do what you're doing, you know where to send them to. You know how to get them involved. And that is our responsibility. That is our responsibility. We don't proselytize like Christians do. We don't stand on the corner with tracts like the Jehovah's Witnesses do. But it's our obligation to lead through our demonstration, to lead through our behavior. Yeah, to lead through our lifestyle.
Well, I will say I don't personally have an issue with white people practicing Ifa or any African traditional spirituality system, because we must understand, as my cousin said, Ifa, that this is a lifestyle. This is not something that you go into and it's going to be quick. Once they accept this, once they get into the culture, guess what? They are also accountable.
That's right.
They are accountable. They're not going to be exempt. That entitlement or whatever you feel they may have, that don't work with Orisha. It doesn't work with Olodumare. So with that power, as we seen Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility. They will be held accountable just as we would be held accountable. So we have to let people walk their walk and let them practice. Let them be accepted. Let them do some of that ancestor veneration and atone for some of that mess we've been put through. You better let them get up in there and fix this mess that they done help cause. Why not?
Sure.
Yeah.
And if you look at the meaning, what is what is the meaning behind the tradition? The meaning behind the tradition says Ifa means wisdom of nature. That's the basic elementary definition.
Sure.
But when we go into the nature of ourselves, Then we then go into the depth of who we really are. Because when you sit down and you get in front, you're sitting on the mat. There is no hiding. It's like being in an x-ray machine. When Ifa starts speaking, you cannot hide anything of yourself or anything else going on in your thoughts, in your mind, in your heart, in your whatever. Ifa brings it all out. So just imagine if they're coming with bad intent and they're sitting on the mat and we're doing dafa on that person and we're looking at this Odu and we're going, now, are you sure that this is the path that you want to take? Ifa says, boom, 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 boom. And imagine this thing going on for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. By the end of that time, if that person can sit there and withstand Ifa telling them all of this truth, and you're still willing to make the effort and make the change in your own nature, in your own self, then going through the processes of the ebos and feeding your ori and feeding the orisha, they're going to continue to bring all of these things out of you. But if you continue to move forward, then change over time will begin. It ain't going to change tomorrow, but over time, their energy will change. Man, there's times that I've been doing dafa and like Ifek Bemeleke, who's on here, and Omorokini and all them will tell you, all of a sudden I start and then I didn't realize it, but I look up and it's 3 hours later. So when Ifa begins to talk and you have a true Babalawo and he's talking through you, you have an obligation to continue that which Ifa, that which Rumila, that which Oludamare is bringing through you, to bring it out and tell truth. Is that correct, Oluwo?
Yes,
That's the truth.
That's it.
That's the absolute truth. Because if you are not ready to listen to the messages of Ifa from Idafa, that is the starting point, Baba.
That's it.
If I oppose you, I'm just lying. Before you go into the culture you want to make Idafa, that is when you know whether you are ready or you want to run away. When you are a drunkard, Ifa is going to tell you you drink a lot, stop drinking.
That's
And
it.
you know you love the bottle very much, you don't want to leave drinking, you run away. But you want to turn a new leaf, you stay with Ifa. That is the starting point. That is the root. That is where we all come from. The messages is what ginger us, what wakes up the spirit in us. That is the truth. That is the real truth. That is the point. There's no lie in what you say, Baba. I see. I'm even learning. I'm learning.
That's it.
From Baba Oloye Ifawole, from the divine priest, I'm learning too. And
when we do dafa and it comes out either Ire or Ibi, in whatever category, even let's just talk Ibi for a second.
Yes.
Let's say that it came out equal and it says, and everybody is nervous because it comes out equal, but equal could mean that we have to complete this in order to rebirth this. Yes. So maybe it comes out that this person now has to cease in certain areas or end certain relationships, end certain characteristics about themselves, end certain arrogancy, this, that, and the other thing. And then upon that, you go to the opposite side of Aiku, right? And now from equal to Aiku, because you done this work and made this change. So sometimes coming out Iku could be the best thing that ever happened to you, because now it facilitated the significance and the change inside and outside to now move this orientation to Aiku, Aje, Omo Ile, Aya Oko, Ishegun, into Bogbo, to move the orientation over.
Exactly.
I say.
You see, what people don't know about the culture is that when you make consultation and it comes out with equal, the consultants tend to run away because they are scared. But I always tell people, Ifa that saw equal is the same Ifa that will chase equal away from you. So when Ifa is talking about something, it doesn't mean that thing is going to happen to you negatively. Ifa is just letting you, Ifa is drawing your attention to that thing so that it will go away from you. I just want to stop there because we have few minutes left.
No, you speak, please speak your piece. Yes, we do have 15 minutes left, but I indeed want you to speak your piece. Say what you're here to bring to us. I told you to come with all that and your ancestors. So I want you to speak your piece. And
what I'm just trying to say is bad messages doesn't define bad life.
Sure.
There is this saying of my father I am going to share with everyone today. I want us to write it down. I want us to have it in our mind. In Africa, before we eat, we always wash our hand. Is that right?
Sure.
But my father will always say, if you eat and you do not wash your hand, try to wash your hand after eating. It will cover your secret of not washing your hand before eating.
Sure.
The things you do today doesn't define you. The things you do now, the mistakes, the pain, the experience, you stay in your toilet and you cry for 15 minutes, 30 minutes, it doesn't define you. The downfall, it doesn't define you. You consult Ifa from your Oluwo, and Ifa saw Iku, Ifa saw Arun, Ifa saw Gbese, death, sorrow, Ifa saw debt, it doesn't mean. Ifa is just trying to take you away from that situation to make you a better person for the nearest future. So the willingness you put into what Ifa is saying is what will define you, not the condition Ifa is showing you.
Sure.
You understand what I'm saying?
Sure.
So when you eat and you forgot to wash your hand before eating, please try to wash your hand after eating. It will cover the secret of you not washing your hand before eating.
Sure.
So that's
sure. It is all about what you're willing to do when that equal comes. When that equal comes, now what are you going to do to now change the orientation? Are you willing to do the work and complete whatever it is that Ifa says you have to complete? And much of that completion is whatever is within you. Whatever's within you. That means if even in Arun, when Arun comes up, Arun is not always talking about a sickness that's going to really cause you significant harm, but it's a sickness in your thought. It's a sickness in your action. It's a sickness in relationships. Ashe? And so then when you deal with Arun and you put and Arun comes down for a person and the mental stress and duress, you're looking to find what is in their life that is causing this. It's like being a doctor, right? You find out what's causing this struggle and this circumstance, and then you speak directly to that, and you begin to formulate a plan with that person who came and say, listen, Ifa says this, and this. If you do this, Ifa says this sacrifice will begin the process of changing it over to Aiku, Aje, to all Ire, all Arafia Ire.
Ashe. And Ifayinka, please forgive me for mispronouncing your name.
I love it.
Tell us a little bit more about you. How old are you, and how long have you been practicing? You speak like an elder, of 60 years or more. And I know you're not 60 years old, but I think sometimes here in the States, we believe that, young people can't learn this, can't memorize this the way you have. So I want you to talk, be a little bit more personal and share with us who you are and how old you are and how long you've been in the tradition.
Thank you. My name, as I've mentioned earlier, is Ifayinka Ajagunmale Alajifa. I was born in January 12, 1997. I am just going to 25 years. I graduated from Ifa Heritage Institute in Oyo State, Nigeria, and it is a school created and founded by Baba Wande Popola, Professor Wande, Baba Wande Abimbola, sorry. I think me being in the culture takes a lot of pain. It takes a lot of dedication, a lot of sacrifice, a lot of tears. My mommy was the priestess. I lost my mommy when I was 11, you know, and this has given me, you know, it's made me find myself the more, because if she's here, I will not want to be in the culture. I will not want to be in the culture. I will not have the eagerness. You know, my mommy pushed me to life, and she made me understand that there is more to life than herself. So I'm initiated into 3 different Orisha. I'm initiated in Ifa. I'm initiated in Ogboni fraternity. I'm also initiated in Ishu, because I am Omo Osa Ishu, Osa Udu. And I have a botanical in my name, IleIfaOladeji Botanical Store. This is my botanical card. And also, I am the founder of the Institute of Ifa and Orisha Learning. I am a traditionalist, and I can say it worldwide that Ifa is great.
So just like us, this is all you do.
Yes, I don't have any other work. Ifa has taken control of my life, and I'm happy.
Yeah. And make sure you put your contact information in the public chat so that people can find you, particularly the botanicas. Botanicas are very difficult to locate right now. Botanicas that offer the things that we like and that we utilize. So also,
okay, I'm sharing.
Yeah, share that. And then offline and private, you can also send it to me as well. Moldor, I was not offended. I don't know how anyone else on the panel responded to it. The question was, are we witch doctors?
I wouldn't consider ourselves witch doctors. Yes, you know, that connotation for us might be somewhat negative, but no, we are elevators of consciousness through Ifa, through Voodoo, through Olodumare, through God. So we lift up and elevate the consciousness of a person, of a people, of a community, of a world through our relationship with Olodumare, Ifa, our ancestors, Orisha. We try to, you know, so I wouldn't say we're witch doctors. No, I would say that we are divine emissaries of Olodumare.
Ashe.
Ashe. Somebody talk while I handle this.
Sure. So, you know, when we now in going to the end of the show, if we think about what we discussed here today and all of the elements that we discussed, if we can put these elements together like a puzzle, then we now begin the process of bringing back our personal power. Our personal power is found in piecing together all of the elements that we spoke about. How do we know ourselves? How do we elevate ourselves? How do we raise our inner conscious? How do we go deeper in the understanding of ourselves? How do we apply the wisdom of nature? How do we do that? How do we elevate that? How do we elevate ourselves and our families so that we can endure all that manifests in life? And once we begin that process, and once we take the first steps towards it, then you know what? We then start developing and we feel that inner power to grow to maintain, to endure, then we begin to see the changes in all aspects of our life. What are you willing to give up? The elbow, Kabiesi used to tell me all the time, the elbow is either done in the beginning or it's done at the end. One way, shape, or another, you're going to have to give your elbow. Do you want to give it up in the beginning? You might take a hit, but it might be much smaller than doing the elbow at the end, where it might be a larger, bigger cost.
That's true.
Let us look at what we have to do in our own lives to bring our personal power back to fruition, to realization, and to manifestation. Oluwo?
Ashe. And Iya, please give us your closing words and blessings. You powerful, sister. I think you underestimate your power. I really do.
All of the moderation, it all comes from him. It is not mine alone. I will say that having taken part in this today gives me hope. In a time where all that outside forces seek to produce and seek to inject is fear and anxiety and everyone being against each other, here in this moment, knowing that we have true people, knowing that Olodumare is working, and it testifies to having faith, being able to walk down those stairs without seeing the bottom, knowing that no matter what it looks like, as long as we keep putting our best foot forward, that we will be connected with people that are doing the same thing, that are aligned in the same way. And then that's where we in turn have to release the element of control, knowing that it's going to work out. From here forward, it's a good thing when thinking of ourselves, when thinking of situations that we want, we must first start to change our mindset. So from here forward, I encourage everyone to do that today. Stop saying if, say when. If implies the possibility of failure. When you have faith, when you have certainty, when Olodumare has your back, there is no failure, because it says that Ifa's words do not hit the floor. So use the word win. Speak it like you have it already. Get that energy, get that into motion. Change your mindset, change your words. Words have power. That's why they call it spelling.
Yes. Ashe. Ashe. And Oluwo Ifayinka, I wanted you to put your contact information in the public chat. And I understand you might be confused about two different chats. You send it to me in a private chat. I wanted you to put it in the public chat. And if you have any last words you want to share, please share.
I was trying to. I don't understand how to do that.
Okay, I'll do it for you when you come back. I'll do it for you the next time. We hope that you come back and that you share with us, and that you be a part of this space as regularly as indeed you can. As we talked off air, I really want to get to know you better, and your people better, and your community better, and really build a continued extended relationship between us here in this group and your community in Nigeria.
Ashe.
Ashe.
So if no one else has anything more to say,
90 seconds.
I'll go ahead and close out, reminding everybody that all is truly and indeed a blessing. If you can just see beyond the veils, for it is all just an illusion and a test, and one of the greatest divine mysteries of life cycle. Until next time, Ashe, Asheo, Ashe.
Odabo.
Odabo.
So almost